Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Friday, December 16th, and I'm Blair Kerkhoff. Great show today. Kansas State kicker Ty Zentner is here. He joined beat writer Kellis Robinett and me in a conversation that covered several topics, starting with his game-winning field goal in the Big 12 championship game victory over TCU. We also talked about his development as a kicker and punter and how he came to place kicking rather late in his career. The Wildcats, of course, are headed to the Sugar Bowl to play Alabama in New Orleans. Find out why the Saints are his favorite team. After a break, Kellis talks about some of the best bets for the early part of the bowl season, the games that might be most impacted by coaching changes and the transfer portal. Okay, let's get started with Ty Zentner and Kellis Robinett. Kellis Robinett is with us, as he often is, and Kellis, we usually have good conversations, you and I, but I think today will be we'll go to the next level in terms of conversation because we have a special guest. How about doing the honors and introducing our guest here today?
Yeah, we've got the one and only Ty Zentner. Kansas State fans know him as the foot of the football team. Kicked the Wildcats into the Big 12 championship a few weeks ago, the win over TCU. Taken with the Sugar Bowl now. They call him Legatron. He punts, he kicks, he handles kickoffs. If it's on special teams, he does it. So I couldn't think of a better guy to have on here. Ty, thanks so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Hey, so I'll start it off and just tell us, Ty, what life has been like for you since the game-winning kick against TCU in the Big 12 championship game. Of course, it came in overtime for the 30-27 victory, sending the Wildcats into the Sugar Bowl. Actually, I think they would have played in the Sugar Bowl either way, but to go in as the championship team, to wear the hats and the T-shirts after the game and all that, what's the attention been like for you since then?
Yeah, things are going great. They gave us a little bit of time off after the game was over, and these past couple weeks we've been just conditioning, lifting, practice on the weekends. So we've been doing a little bit of everything, just getting ready for the bowl game. We're super excited to go down to New Orleans and play a really good opponent. So it's going to be a really good matchup, and I know the guys are excited to play. And not every year do you get to play the team that's been the face of college football for the guys on the team for all of our lives. So it's a really cool opportunity, and I think we're all excited to play.
Heck, for all of Kellis's life and mine as well. I mean, it's a short list of those teams, right? That are like that. Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma is on that list. There are some others, but they're. Alabama goes generational, really, when it comes to their status in the college football world. But how many people did you hear from after the game, and who was reaching out to you? And just tell us about that a little bit.
I heard from a lot of people, a lot of great K-State fans out there. Just kind of blew up my phone. So I don't know. I probably after the game was over, I got to my phone. I had about 150 texts. And so that was a little bit overwhelming. It took me a while to get back to everyone. I'm sorry if you're watching this and I haven't got back to you yet, but I think I've gotten back to everybody. And, the support for me and the team was just phenomenal, including the crowd that was there that game. And they really gave us life. And it was just such an honor to be able to represent the university in such a positive way and win a Big 12 title, which we haven't done in 10 years.
So, Ty, I got two more questions about the Big 12 championship game I wanted to run by you. First, I got one from a reader who wanted to know, the camera spotted you giggling a little bit when you ran out on the field, usually a sign of a confident guy. But what were you laughing about when you got all that pressure on you? What were you laughing about in that moment?
I wasn't laughing. I took the field, and I kind of, as I was jogging on, I looked over to our sideline, and I thought to myself, I was like, wow, they're sending me out here to end this thing. And as I kept on jogging, got close to the hash, I gave Will a high five, and he said, let's go win a championship. And so I just kind of looked at him, smiled, and took a deep breath, got my spot, and the rest is history.
Okay, so nobody told you a hilarious joke or anything before you ran out there?
No funny jokes. Nobody was cracking jokes at that point.
How much confidence did you have when you were lining up, though? I mean, I've lined up over some pressure putts before in my life as a golfer. Sometimes I'm nervous, sometimes I'm confident. I've never had a Big 12 championship on the line. How did you handle it? I can't really imagine that situation.
Yeah, I approached it with the same confidence that I've been taking the field with all year, and I believe my preparation, and I believe that we prepared to be in that moment, and we were ready to go take it. So once we got set up and Jack put his hand on the ground, it was kind of just my routine from there on. So it's not like I was lining up thinking that the championship's on the line. I was just trying to hit my best ball.
What was the best part about, being the guy to send K-State through there and then to celebrate afterward, now that you've had a little while to reflect on it? What sticks out in your mind the most?
I would say just the moment it came off my foot and I turned back and looked at Jack and just kind of threw my hands in the air. We just the pure rush of excitement and joy, and it's hard to describe that emotion in that moment.
Ty, I know you haven't been a place kicker for very long, but I still want to ask you, when you make contact with the ball, do you have some sense that it's true coming off the foot, or do you have to wait and see if it's drifting toward an upright?
Yeah, a little bit of both, I would say. You definitely know when you pick it clean off the ground and don't get a lot of turf, kind of like golf, like Kellis mentioned. Just sometimes you'll catch a little bit of turf and it's a little bit chunky. It has a weird rotation on it, kind of breaking left to right. So yeah, you usually know right away. And I kind of was able to get myself in a rhythm through practice on Thursdays and then games on Saturdays, where I was really just kind of picking the ball clean off the turf on all day long on Saturdays.
And Blair mentioned there, you haven't kicked your whole life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you started as a high school senior, right? That's the first time you started playing football.
Yes, sir.
It's still crazy to me that you were going to be a goalkeeper on a soccer team at a Kansas JUCO, and now you're here right now. Tell us a little bit more about that transition, how you went from wanting to play soccer to choosing American football.
Yeah, and like I've told you before, that year, in my senior year, my friends needed a kicker on the team, and so I told them I would do it. And luckily for me, my high school had a volunteer kicking coach, Stephen Block, and he was huge in my development as a senior kicker that year, and trying to get me into a college and find a good spot for me. So he helped me out. He spent his time where he didn't have to, and he really helped me develop as a kicker and a punter, and so I'm super thankful for him.
What made you like football more than soccer after you spent so much time doing the other sport?
That's a good question. So I was a goalkeeper in soccer, and I really liked the idea of being able to score. So
okay,
yeah, kicking field goals was always fun for me.
Along those lines, Ty, when you think of soccer players having just by the nature of their sport, having maybe an easy transition into football, but if you're a goalkeeper, you're not, the ball's not on your foot a lot. So I'm wondering if the fact that you were a goalkeeper, is there some association with you being, getting into kicking as a punter and not as a place kicker?
Yeah. That's a good question. When I was playing soccer, I tried to spend a lot of time just with the ball on my foot, outside of games. Obviously in practice, I would try and get on the field as much as possible. And I always thought I was really good at just striking the ball, being able to hit it where I wanted to, and kind of just put my foot at different angles and distort the ball in different directions. So I always thought I was good at that, just kind of a natural ball striker, and it transitioned over to football pretty well.
Okay. Take us through your path a little bit. So Butler County for 2 years, and then how did recruiting go for you after when you were at Butler?
Yeah, when I was at Butler, my first year, I was the starter on kickoff. I got 3 field goals in, I think it was, and like 15 punts. So I was still kind of the do-it-all guy, but my main role was just kickoff, just hit it out of the end zone, and we'll take the touchback. And that second year is when that spring ball, I was able to do all 3, and a lot of coaches were able to come watch us. And then into the fall, I did all 3 the entire season. So I felt like I got a lot of eyes on me, but I didn't get a ton of attention. No, not a lot of schools were recruiting me. There were a bunch of schools that wanted me to walk on, but nobody was offering a scholarship. And luckily for me, I had came to the kicking camp and met Sean Snyder and Taylor Bratt, and really got connected with them. And I really enjoyed being up here. It was awesome. So I came back to Manhattan as much as possible, and they stayed true to me the entire time. They watched all my film, and at the end of the day, they gave me the opportunity. So yeah.
How much pride do you take in the fact that you do all 3 instead of just punting, just kicking, just doing touchbacks? How much pride do you take in doing all 3?
Yeah, I take a lot of pride in it because, it just helps the team that much more. Somebody that can play multiple positions, just like a defensive back out there that can play safety, nickel, corner, or anything. It helps the team out. So I take a lot of pride in that. And for me, it's fun. It's exciting because, I'm doing more stuff. So I take a lot of pride in it, and yeah.
Ty, is the last few weeks of good fortune for you, last couple of months actually, has it changed the way you think about the future?
No, I wouldn't say it's changed, because going into the season, I knew if I prepared the way I needed to and really trusted in our system and what we're doing here at Kansas State, that at the end of the day, I was going to end up where I should. So I kind of kept in the back of my mind. I try not to think about the NFL a whole lot during the season, but just preparing every single day for the opportunity. And I'm not a decision maker. Like I don't get to pick where I'm taking in draft or if I'm not. So I'll let those guys make that decision. But hopefully they're thinking of me.
You're definitely going to make a run at the NFL, though. You don't have another career lined up immediately.
No, once I'm done playing football, I'll probably start coaching. So,
do you find yourself watching guys like Justin Tucker or Harrison Butker or NFL guys?
Oh yeah, anytime there's an NFL game on, I got my phone out, my stopwatch out, and I'm taking times on hang times and operating times and all that stuff. But I spend a lot of time on YouTube trying to find as much film as those guys as possible, because I feel like just seeing them hit the ball clean like they do and operating the way they do can only help me. So I try and watch that stuff as much as possible.
And I'm sure there's an awareness here that NFL teams, boy, if they could save a roster spot by getting a kicker and a punter, quite an advantage.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't really know how teams operate with that, so it'll be exciting for me this spring to kind of find out what teams view me as and how they see that kind of working out.
So you tune into NFL games just to watch the punters and the kickers sometimes?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a couple times this year I told, like, if I wasn't able to watch the game, I would text my girlfriend and say, hey, can you record these punts for me so I can see them? And obviously she does a great job of that. So
that's amazing. I love that. I mean, it makes sense, but I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
All right, Ty, have you ever been to New Orleans?
I haven't, but the Saints were my favorite team growing up, so I'm so excited to go to New Orleans.
Oh, how did that happen?
My mom is a jazzercise instructor, so when I was probably in second or third grade, and they were doing a jazzercise halftime show, and I was luckily able to go to that and sit on the sideline, but we were on the visitors sideline, and they were playing the Saints that day. So me being a second grader, I was walking up and down the Saints sideline before kickoff, just trying to get as many autographs as I could. And yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's was Breeze the quarterback then?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
I wasn't able to get his autograph though.
Okay. That's great. Well,
Ty, I got a few more reader questions I want to pass along to you here before we
Go
get
ahead.
you out of here. Some serious, some not serious at all. But one thing actually I was curious about was when Chris Kleiman, the coach, said midseason we're going to open up the kicking duties for field goals. Like, how did you win that job? Was there a kickoff with you and Chris in practice, or how did that work?
No, there wasn't any kickoff. They kind of gave me more reps than the other two guys that week, just to kind of see how I was progressing. I hadn't kicked a whole lot before that. I still kept kicking on Thursdays up to that point, but not on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So they gave me more reps that week, and I hit the ball well. And I think that's why they rolled on with me that Saturday.
All right, here's a sillier one for you. You've got quite a personality at long snapper and Randon Plattner.
Oh yeah.
What's it like having a guy like that snapping the ball every time you're out there on the field?
You know, it's incredible because Randon's just such an infectious leader of our team. You know, he provides juice when guys don't have it. So when we're running, he's yelling, and he's always just trying to encourage others and bring guys along with him, which, you know, that can only help out the team. And Rand's been so great for us. His snaps are on the spot every single time, and he does a great job covering down. So I'm excited for Randon. He's a really good snapper. He's one of my best friends, and he's got a bright future ahead of him as well.
Here's another good one. What feels better for you as a guy who does everything? Do you get a bigger rush at it when you pin a team inside the 5 with a punt, or when you kick a long field goal?
You know, if that's like another 72-yard punt down to the 5, I think I'd like that one more, but that doesn't happen very often. So I'll go with the long field goal because I can't really describe the feeling I got against TCU or the kick against West Virginia was awesome as well.
That 72-yard punt against Kansas was amazing, by the way. I just want to say that. And okay, here's the last one, which is a great one. Okay, let's say you're in another pressure spot against Alabama at the Sugar Bowl, game on the line. How far away do you feel confident kicking in that situation? What's the longest walk-off field goal you could make to win that game?
That's a good question because we'll be in a dome, so there's not going to be any wind, obviously. And against TCU, I got back to, I think, 64 yards with just my normal field goal approach. So I had planned for over bowl prep to kind of see if I can lengthen my approach a little bit, kind of like Justin Tucker does on his long field goals, and see if I can get another 2 to 3 yards out of that. So we'll see. Probably around 65 would be the furthest I could go.
All right, there you have it. Guaranteeing a 65-yard field goal in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Ty, you're not.
It'd be awesome if it happens, though.
Are you superstitious at all?
I don't think I am. I know I have a routine that I follow, but there's no like distinct superstition I have. I wear the same cleats every day, but you know that doesn't change a whole lot.
Okay. We've gone this far and we haven't mentioned your percentage on place kicks this year, and maybe like when announcers are calling a no hitter in baseball, they don't use that term, so maybe we'll just stay away from saying what the percentage is. But I'm glad you mentioned your kicking operation. We went a long way without mentioning that. That's always so important for place kickers and punters, long snapper and the holder and everything. I'm glad you got that. I was remiss in failing to mention that earlier. So look, you've been very generous and gracious with your time. We really appreciate it. Best of luck in the Sugar Bowl against Alabama. That's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that game, and what a great moment that is for Kansas State football. So Kellis, thank you, sir. Ty Zentner, thanks a lot, and best of luck in New Orleans.
Thank you so much for having me. We're excited to get down to New Orleans. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun down there, but we're gonna take care of business as well. So we're excited for it, and it's gonna be awesome.
Hey, this is Blair. There are several ways to access the Star Sports section. Let me tell you about a couple of them. There's Sports Pass. For $12.99 a month, you get unlimited digital access to all of the Star Sports content, including beat writing, columns, features, pretty much everything we write. The deal renews monthly until you tell us to cancel. For $159.99 a year, you get everything the Star has to offer digitally, including sports and the e-edition. Go to kansascity.com and drop down to the bottom of the page where it says Start a Subscription for more information. Your support has never been more important. As always, thanks for reading and listening. Kellis, first of all, that was great to hear from Ty Zentner, wasn't it? What a nice thing for him to do to join us on the podcast.
It was great story. Love that kid. I'm happy he gets to play the hero here for a little while.
Yes, and I hope he does get to kick the 65-yarder at the Superdome when the Wildcats play Alabama. Okay, so we're going to use this segment to discuss bowl wagering. Well, we'll talk about the bowls too, but also about bowl wagering because you had your weekly sports wagering column was about the bowl games, and it's just a different type of, it's a different time of year and a different type of thing you have to maybe pay attention to when you're looking at wagers for bowl games. It's different than a regular season college football game. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the early bowl games. They start tonight. We're recording this on Thursday, but it'll be released on Friday, posted on Friday. So the games are starting tonight, as you informed me. And then there's a big slate on Saturday as well. Why don't we pick out a couple of those games and use those as examples of what those who are wagering should consider that's different than a regular season game?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different. The three things I like to look for are, number one, the most important thing to me is motivation, especially in these games that really don't mean much, like the Bahamas Bowl or the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. The team that wants to be there has a huge advantage over the team that doesn't. There's just so many times we see teams just show up and not care. And I've heard somebody say this, that if you just look at bowl games before Christmas, there's a wild variance on underdogs. If you just bet on double-digit underdogs in those games, they hit at something at like a 40% rate, which is not what you see in the regular season. And if you're betting money line on that, you're getting 3-4 times the money back. That's not a bad idea to take a dart throw on those games. Whereas in the regular season, you see a potential mismatch. You're like, no, I'm betting the favorite here. I'm not betting the underdog. So always something to consider motivational wise. And then what really that at least is easy to figure out. You could look at teams and say, oh, hey, I bet, you get a game with, a group of 5 school playing a SEC team. Well, it's pretty easy to spot which team's going to be fired up there.
Right.
The harder part is figuring out who's actually playing in the games. The bigger schools have a lot of opt-outs. The smaller schools have a lot of firings, coordinators all over the place. Like Washington State is playing Fresno State in a game where they're not expected to have their offensive coordinator or their defensive coordinator or their top 3 receivers or 2 of their best defenders. It's just like the team that's showing up for the bowl game is not at all what you came to see during the regular season. So you got to factor all that stuff in. I really like it. I think it's fun to go through the research and stuff. In some ways it's easier. It's like I said, sometimes you can see a matchup and it's like, boy, I read that one perfectly, but then other times it's like, whoa, this is there's a lot of moving parts here. Winning this bet is going to be, like pulling a thing off of a Jenga game. So in some ways it's more challenging. In some ways it's easier. And for me, that's kind of the fun of it, trying to figure out which ones are the easy ones and hoping you're not wrong.
Yeah. I think another factor that's entered college football just in the last couple of years is the transfer portal. It falls under the category of who's playing and who's not playing. And it used to be in the not too recent past that all you did was consider guys that were opting out because of, they might be NFL prospects and don't want to risk an injury. But now added to that are, players that have entered the transfer portal. And even that doesn't disqualify you from playing for your team in a bowl game, but I don't see what the big motivation is for somebody who has entered the transfer portal to play for their team in a bowl game. There's still some uncertainty there about whether that player is going to play in a bowl game. So I don't know if there's anybody at Kansas State that falls under that category, somebody who's entered the transfer portal and don't know whether they're playing or not. I've been following Missouri, and there's a couple of guys like Dominic Lovett, their wide receiver, has entered the transfer portal, and I just assume he's not going to play.
Yeah, more often than not, the answer is no. They want to move on. But there are a few instances where the players actually follow through with it. Grayson McCall, the great quarterback at Coastal Carolina, he's in the transfer portal. He wants to play somewhere else next year, but he came out and announced that even though he's in the transfer portal, he wants to finish out this season with Coastal. The Chanticleers, awesome nickname, by the way. So yeah, that's kind of, bizarre. How motivated is he going to be for that game? In Western Kentucky, following their line has been interesting. Their starting quarterback said he was gone. He had a really good season this year. When that news came out, everybody jumped off their train. The line went above a touchdown. They're playing South Alabama and whatever the New Orleans bowl game that is in the Sugar Bowl is. And all of a sudden it looked like, Western Kentucky's not the team you want to back here. You want South Alabama. Then a few days later, the quarterback said, just kidding, I'm sticking around. And not only that, I'm going to play in this bowl game. So now the line shot way down. So if you got Western Kentucky plus like 10, where it was a few days ago, you're feeling pretty good about things right now. So just some high variance there. You asked about Kansas State. I don't expect any of the guys that transferred to play in the game. They've had 5 departures already. And even if those guys stuck around, they wouldn't be factors. Like Jaron Lewis, 4th-string quarterback, if he's asked to play in this game, they've got major problems. One of their backup offensive linemen is gone. Actually, one of their reserve linebackers already announced he's going to Arizona State, so I don't think you're going to see him either. No questions there. I think the 5 guys who said they're transferred are going to not be there.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Again, like I said, a factor that wasn't part of the landscape a few years ago that now is. So, all right.
I'll tell you what would really make it interesting is if one of these days players can transfer so fast that they play for their new team in the bowl game. That would be something.
That would be so. It's like the baseball player who was once traded between games of a doubleheader, played for one team in the first game and the other team in the second. So,
or like Baker Mayfield with the Rams last week.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, Kellis. So it's one of the rare occasions that all 3 of the schools that the Star covers, Kansas State, Kansas, and Missouri, are in bowl games. Of course, it's rare because of Kansas's appearance in a bowl game. That hasn't happened in, I think it's 13 years. So we've spent a lot of time, and we'll spend more time discussing the Wildcats in Alabama at a future podcast. But Missouri's up first. They play on December 23rd against Wake Forest in the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, Florida. So I don't know how far ahead you've looked when it comes to lines and everything, but it seems like this is a game where both quarterbacks are going to play. Wake Forest has Sam Hartman, who has put up some big numbers. Wake Forest was rolling this year. ACC, they were 6-0 or something, I think they got as high as number 10 in the country, then hit a losing streak and fell out of the poll. Missouri, just the opposite, started 2-4, finished 6-6. I don't know. Did you, was this one of the games you considered when you were putting together your column?
Well, I haven't looked ahead that far just yet, but this is a weird one. It's pretty much a pick 'em right now. Wake Forest is favored by 1. It's just a weird game for me to kind of figure out this far ahead because like Wake Forest, when I saw them earlier in the year, yeah, I'm with you, they looked great. The one loss they had, they put up 45 against Clemson. They won at Florida State, which is a heck of a win. They're in the top 15 right now. They had all these really good games, and then they close out the year losing to Louisville, losing to NC State, losing to North Carolina, losing to Duke in the finale. So all of a sudden you got this team that just looked great all season, kind of tanked. And Missouri's, I'm probably the wrong guy to ask Missouri. The one time I got to see them up close, they just looked terrible. Yeah. Against Kansas State. I was shocked a few weeks later when they came out and gave Georgia a run for their money until the end of that game. So I'll tell you one bet I would consider here is maybe the over. Wake Forest can't stop anybody. And, bowl games, teams tend to play a little bit looser. Maybe Missouri comes out, tries some trick plays and stuff, finally get the ball to some of the receivers a little bit more. The over-under is only 16.5. Wake Forest, I mean, they've played some games like I was talking about. They took Clemson 51-45, North Carolina 36-34. They played Syracuse, and that game was an 80, ended up with 80 points. So you're going to be in Tampa. You would assume there'd be good weather. That might be a good way to attack it. Right now, I'd maybe lean Wake Forest, but I don't know. I'll have to study up on that one a little bit more.
All right, so prepare for a 4-hour football game is what you're saying.
I guess so.
Okay, and then, of course, after Christmas is the Kansas-Arkansas Liberty Bowl. There's where KU ends up in its first bowl game since 2008. I don't know what to think of this. On paper, I think Arkansas should be the better team, but again, it's another small line, right? The Razorbacks are a slight favorite, I think.
Yeah, they're favored by a field goal right now. When the line originally came out, it was kind of in a dead zone at like 5.5 or 6. If the line would have opened at KU plus more than a touchdown, I might have just bet it, throwing a little bit of money at it blindly and seeing what happens. Because like I mentioned earlier, when you talk about motivation, Kansas is going to be much more motivated for this game than Arkansas. It's the first bowl game in forever. You saw how much it meant to those guys when they beat Oklahoma State to get their 6th win. People like players weeping on the field. They're so happy to be going to the Liberty Bowl. And the only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is they kind of already won the game with the Brett McMurphy report that came out. And,
the whole border war that never happened, right?
So I don't know. Maybe they're good and they're on easy street. They don't care about it anymore. But yeah, so motivation is on the Hawks side. I like them from that perspective. I don't like for their sake that Arkansas's quarterback decided he's going to stick around and play. I was kind of under the belief he would opt out and go pro. To play KJ Jefferson is much more difficult than to play the backup. And Arkansas has kind of been all over the place this season. They've got some really good wins. They've got some really bad losses. Couldn't beat Missouri in the last game. You remember that one game they had against Texas A&M that kind of derailed the whole season, where they were about to score a touchdown, fumble it, and A&M runs it back for a touchdown the other way, and a field goal at the end boinks off the uprights. So I don't know if Arkansas brings their A game, then yeah, I think they win this. I think they cover, but they can't be too jazzed up for this game. So motivational wise, you like Kansas. Overall, you like Arkansas. The one thing I will say here is that Arkansas, I've been to the Liberty Bowl when Arkansas played in it. They played Kansas State there. I don't remember how many years ago now, but Bill Snyder was still coaching. And, Kansas State fans were just shocked that normally when they go to bowl games, they're the team with all the fans. They've got the most support. Not the case with Arkansas. Arkansas is very close to Memphis. That place was 80% red, made a big difference. If they show up again, that's just another reason to maybe like them. I probably right now like Arkansas, but I don't know. You could talk me into it either way, maybe.
Yeah, Arkansas is right across the river, and Arkansas is just one of the very well supported teams. Those fans travel great. I suspect it'll be one of the better atmosphere games of the pre-playoff bowl games. I imagine Liberty Bowl will be close to filled, and Kansas, I think, sold out their allotment. So, great. It should be a great atmosphere and just a fun, it's good to see Kansas back in a bowl game, and maybe this is the start of something really nice for the Jayhawks. So
do we know what Lance Leipold's record was in bowl games at Buffalo? I'm planning to go look that up.
Yeah, that's a good question. And obviously before that, he was in the NCAA playoffs at Division III. There were no bowl games, but Lance, he went to a few bowl games at Buffalo. It was over 500 a few times. So
all right, I pulled it up here. Okay, they won the Camellia Bowl in 2020 before he came to Kansas, and they won the Bahamas Bowl, which kicked everything off in 2019. Lost the Dollar General Bowl in his first ever bowl in 2018. So he has a winning record in bowl games. That's something to consider. it really is a factor sometimes when you get a coach who cares about it and you give them extra time. That could be an advantage too.
For sure. All right, Kellis, great stuff, and really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. I got a couple of drink recommendations for you for New Orleans that I'll pass along off the air.
Okay, looking forward to that.
That'll do it for today and this week on SportsBeat KC. Thanks to our staff of George Howard, Monty Davis, Randy Mason, Jeff Rosen, and Scott Chasen. A salute to Kansas State kicker Ty Zentner for making time to chat with us, and to Wildcats beat writer Kellis Robinett. Morning Sports Edition is the nation's top digital sports section. See what I'm talking about at liveedition.kansascity.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in and around Kansas City every day.